little Irish shamrock on it.
You look like you're straight from Ireland right now.
I feel like a brawler with it on.
You look like a brawler. Oh. Hey, girl.
How you doing, sweetie?
Hi.
Hi, sweetie.
Oh, I love that, CJ. That's next week, CJ. Crazy Hat Day is next week. All right. You guys ready to get started? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. Make sure that if your phones come unmuted, that you mute them. And please, again, use that chat box to ask questions. And we'll keep an eye on that. So excited to see you guys tonight. The lines are full because you guys know the kind of value you're going to get here. We have been just really excited about what's going on with One Team University and just coming together as one team and sharing just the knowledge and the tips and tricks from all different leaders all over the globe. So tonight we are super excited to hear from Chris Harter. We all know that he's a wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to network marketing and how to present yourself and how to have a strong posture. And so make sure you have your notebooks out. You're going to be taking a lot of notes. I first wanted to just ask if anybody is brave enough to share any breakthroughs this last week. We got some great stuff from David Norrie last week on connecting and posture and social media. And I would love to hear one or two takeaways or what you really applied this week and maybe the experience you had.
I can
So
share.
you have to unmute your phone.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to share that between David's comments last week and some stuff from Robert Murgatroyd about Facebook, I was able to find a whole new list of people and have just been reaching out like crazy to non-Isagenix people and just, you know, coming up with, hey, Happy New Year. I haven't talked to you in a few months. What the heck's going on in your world? And I've had 2 signups in the last 24 hours, including a new consultant and lots of response, just reconnection. What are you doing? I'm seeing crazy pictures of you on Facebook. What's up in your world? So that's key. You got to get your posts out to people that aren't us, unfortunately. So thanks for the reminder to just be connecting, be human, David. That's been important this week for sure.
How awesome is that? Wow. So good. And you know what the best part about that is that she's applying what she's learning, and that's what we have to do. These 6-week trainings do nothing if we don't apply and get into action. And so, you know, we're going to continue to invite you to get into massive action and really apply everything you're learning. All right. So do we have one more share? All right. I'm not afraid of silence, so I gave you guys a good long pause. Okay. So, you know, I'm just going to remind you really quick before Chris starts here that, you know, use the John Maxwell method of, as you're taking your notes, put an R next to the books you need to read, put a T next to the things that you need to teach your team, family, kids, neighbors, friends, and then put an A next to those things that you really need to apply in your life. And that will help you organize your notes and get into action. Okay. And then I just wanted to share one thing that really inspires me and I took away from today. It's called Risk by Dr. John Garcia. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because it really kind of shows why I'm so passionate about bringing these different leaders together and why I'm so excited about what Chris is going to share tonight. You know, I never had any previous network marketing experience before joining Isagenix, and the meetings that we've gone to and the leaders that we've linked arms with have really strengthened my posture, my backbone, and my confidence when it comes to network marketing and being a professional. Risk stands for, the R stands for reassessment, the I stands for investment, which you guys are all doing right now. Everything we do is an investment. You taking the time tonight to sit with no distractions and to really just sit and learn is an investment, just as much as time, just as much as money is, right? S is for spirituality. So always staying in tune to your why and what drives you and what motivates you. And then finally, K is kinship. And that's what I wanted to share because, you know, the people that we're linking arms right now with are going to be the people that really help drive you to success. And if you want to be successful, I know from experience, you have to surround yourself with successful people and learn from the best. All right. And I consider Chris Harter one of the best in the company. He has taught me so much in a very short period of time. And so really, guys, be present tonight. Invest this time and link arms with him, because he will take you very far if you will listen to the blueprints of success he has to share. So with that being said, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you. And yeah, your turn.
Trisha, thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. And before I get started, I want to say a couple things. The first thing is thank you for organizing this. This is the greatest example of the one team that we always hear about, right? None of us are on the same team for the most part, and yet everybody's willing to get together and share what's made them successful, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you for being the example and putting this together for everybody. I know my team's super excited, and I've heard an awful lot of cool things about it already. And the second thing is I can only hope to do half of what David Norrie did last week. That guy is a pimp of knowledge. He is one of my, most of you who follow us out there, you know that he's my best friend. And I don't say this just because he's my best friend. I've actually watched him grow so much over the past few years as a leader and as a business person. It's been one of the most exciting things I've seen over the past few years. So I can only hope to do half of what he did last week with his 10 nuggets of connecting that he's shared with you. And let me tell you, go back and watch it if you were not on last week, because it's real actionable stuff. And that's what I believe in teaching. I don't believe in just giving theoretical stuff. I believe in giving good, actionable tips. And that's what he gave you. I'm an introvert by nature, believe it or not. And he's taught me to take more interest in people. And my life has become so much more interesting as a result. So take his tips, practice them. They might be awkward at first, but trust me, it pays off in the long run. And if I can do it, then you guys can absolutely do it too. Now, tonight's subject or subjects are really twofold, and they may seem unrelated, but they are related. And the first one is how to talk about this industry and really believing in this industry. And the second topic that is connected is how to ask for the sale and how to really close somebody in signing up. Now, why are those two connected, right? One of them is sales tips and the other one is just getting you pumped up about the industry. Well, here's why they're connected. I firmly believe that it is easier to ask people to join you in doing something if you are a 10 out of freaking 10 in your own belief about what you're doing. I mean, let's think about it. If you're going to a semi-crappy restaurant, would you be very confident in having your business partners and your friends come join you at that somewhat crappy restaurant? Right? You'd probably ask something like, it's probably easy to get in, but we could go to such and such place. That would be your presentation, and they can feel that. And that's what we're doing if we're not a 10 out of 10 in our belief in this industry and the products and the company. Now, where did my belief come from? Some of you know my story, some of you don't. I was the biggest skeptic of network marketing and the profession that you could ever come across. I was a snob about it. I thought I was too good for it. I thought it was what crazy people with flashing pins ran around doing. I had every rude thing to say about it. And I'm not proud that that was my posture back then, but it's just a bit of transparency to show you where I came from so that you can understand the work that I had to put in order to love and believe in this industry. And that work that I put in is the stuff that I'm going to share with you tonight. Now, my professional background taught me two things. It taught me what really good business is, and it taught me a lot about sales and closing. And what happened was I actually spent 8 years with a huge international bank that was based out of London in lending, and I was one of the fastest rising executives in the beginning of my career there. And I literally, looking back, I was kind of naive, but at the time I thought, this is it. I can't believe I lucked out and I found out where I was going to spend my entire career and where I was going to retire from on my first shot. I'm one of the lucky ones. And the first 7 years or so were pretty amazing. The last year and a half during the meat of the recession was horrible. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney where he had to fly around firing everybody, but that was literally what I would do. We stopped all sales, we stopped all everything. And it was just in cut down mode, and it was miserable. So when it finally came time for them to ask me if I wanted a demotion or a severance package, it was a really easy choice. I said severance package before they could even get it out of their mouth. And I remember they said, well, don't you even want time to go home and talk to your wife about it and think about it? I said, no, give me the severance. What am I getting? So I took the severance, and in the recession, there weren't a lot of jobs out there for bankers, especially high-end bankers. So I went and I joined this little startup mortgage brokerage. I mean, we're talking ma and pa shop in a crappy little rented corner somewhere doing hardly any business at all. But I knew the guy that had started it, and I knew that he had a lot of talents that were the opposite of mine. And he knew that I had a lot of talents that were the opposite of his, because we had worked together for many years at HSBC. So I took that partnership, and we actually grew that mortgage bank from a little baby mortgage brokerage doing, a handful of loans to 155 employees in 7 states in the course of just 3 years. So, I mean, we blew that thing up. But what happened was the further we got into it, the more and more miserable I got. And it wasn't until I was so miserable that I finally went from being snobby about the idea of network marketing to being open to anything that could possibly save me from the daily hell that I was living in. So the first lesson there is you got to kind of catch people when their timing is right, when their timing has changed. And if you ever heard me teach before, that's one of the most important lessons that I'll ever teach, is catching people, not changing their timing, but being the person who's there when their timing changes. So thank God that Holly DeMott was there, and she had stuck with us while we said no to the products for almost a year. And then once we loved the products and we're taking them every day, we still said no to the business for another year after that, thinking it was not for us, until all of a sudden it was for us. Now, here's why I give you that background story, not just to teach you the lesson about timing, but more importantly, so that you can see that I've got a lot of business background. So I had large corporate America background. I literally ran teams with thousands of salespeople throughout the course of time. And I taught them sales. And then I ran a small piece that I had ownership in, and we grew that into something large as well. So I've had the entrepreneurship side, and I've had the big corporate America side. And from that, you gain a lot of experience. And once I was open to network marketing, and once I started doing my studying to find the facts that would make me believe in it, because I wanted to believe in it once I decided I needed a change. Once I found those facts, I was actually a little bit blown away. And here I am 4 to 5 years later of being in the network marketing profession. And every day I grow more and more in love with it because of these facts that hold true back then, just as they still do today. So I'm going to share some of those facts with you about the industry to help shape your scope of why you are aligned with one of the greatest freaking opportunities that you probably don't even realize just how good it truly is. Now, the first fact is this. Our industry, unlike corporate America, let's call it big business, unlike big business, our industry only exists if the products actually do what they say they're going to do. Now, let me separate this for you a minute. There's bad companies that get started and close every single day in our industry, but they close because eventually the hype runs out and their products don't do what they say they do. But what's different with Isagenix? We actually have 13 years of extreme growth because our products do everything that we say they do, and then some. As a matter of fact, due to compliance, we actually have to what? We have to reel it back a little bit and kind of, loosely skim over the awesomeness that our products actually can provide for you and for your prospects, because we don't want to, make the medical claims. We don't want to claim to cure or treat anything. So our products are so awesome that not only do they walk the walk, but we actually have to play it down a little bit. Oh, and I think if somebody could just check their mute. Everyone make sure your mute is in the lower left hand or corner of your screen there. Got a little bit of background noise there. There we go, perfect. So that's the first one, is our industry doesn't even exist unless the products work and the companies are phenomenal. The second thing that makes this industry so amazing is that the means of marketing, and I think I'm just going to take a quick time out until the baby's done crying. Sorry, I just want to make sure you guys get all this. Double check your screen and make sure it's on mute, please. Awesome, there we go. All right, that's the cool part about doing this from home. You got dogs barking and babies crying and all the cool stuff. That's the perk of the job right there. So the second thing is this. The means of marketing and distribution that we do, right, word of mouth, is the most efficient means possible. Well, what does that mean for you? That means that more of the money that is normally spent on advertising and middlemen and store shelves and shelf space and all this other stuff that other companies do to get their products in front of people, all that money is directed to just one of two areas. Either back into the company so the company can keep growing, or into your pockets, right? So it's going back into product research, it's going back into customer service, it's going back into the platform that you use to do all your selling on, or it's going into your pockets in the form of revenue. That's a great thing. That is as efficient as it gets. And I'm actually going to take that idea of efficiency a step further. And it might even rub some of you the wrong way, but I promise to clean it up for you. The beautiful thing about how efficient network marketing is you get paid exactly what you are worth in that moment. Think about it. If you don't like your paycheck right now, you literally control if it goes up by finding more people, talking to more people, changing your approach, giving a better effort, becoming better at what you do. As you do all of those things, you start to find more people on your team. And as you find more people on your team, of course, your revenue goes up. As a matter of fact, it goes up immediately the day that you sell a President's Pack. What do we have? We have same day pay. So what I love about this industry is there's no waste. And I'll give you an example. Back when I would hire people for all of our branches, when I worked for the International Bank, I made some bad hires. I really did. I'm just going to put it out there. You know, somebody seems really cool in the interview and you get them started and they turn out to be a total dud. Well, guess what? You can't just up and fire them. That's not the way corporate America works. It's a long process. So what did we do? We gave them a signing bonus. Maybe we paid for part of their tuition. We gave them benefits. We gave them a salary even though they weren't earning it. It was very, very inefficient until we finally got rid of them. Network marketing doesn't have that. The dollars only go to the people who are doing the doing. That's the best part. So if that at all rubs you the wrong way, it might be a beautiful wake-up call to change what you're doing in order to get more of the dollars. And you can also take a little bit of confidence in knowing that Isagenix has a easier chance of staying around during both the good times and the bad times when they don't have a massive fixed overhead in salaries to pay all of us. As their sales ebb and flow, so does their payroll. Once again, another thing that makes this industry way more efficient than big business. Another reason that I love this industry over big business is that not only do you always get paid what you're worth, but you get paid based on how good of a leader you are. Now, let me tell you what I mean by this. One of the biggest areas where our income comes from is not just us finding prospects ourselves and getting them signed up, but by being really good sales coaches and leaders and helping those that are on our team below us make sales and bring people into their teams as well. It's really not that different than the way we structured our pay plan back at the mortgage bank that I used to be a partner in. For example, we had Todd and I at the top, and then we had sales managers, and then we had branch managers, and then they all had their mortgage brokers, and then they had all of their assistants and their closers. And every time that a mortgage was sold, everybody got a little piece of that mortgage. Well, that's kind of what goes on here, right? Every time someone gets signed up and we sell those products to them, we're all getting a little slice of that pie. Now, here's the cool part, though. More sales get made if you do a better job of becoming a leader and sharing exactly what you know about being successful. In my old business, one of the rubs was this. In order to get promoted, you had to be better than the next person. In our business, in order to get promoted, you have to make people better along with you. That's the big difference. I literally had to outdo people in my old business in order to get promotions, right? I had to appear like I was the best choice, or I wouldn't get that raise and I wouldn't get that promotion. But with this, we have to make everyone around us better. We have to lift everybody else around us up in order for us to get our rank advancement bonuses and for us to, of course, cycle more and more and grow our teams. So what kind of environment does that foster? Well, in my old business, it creates one of competition and lying and rumors and stepping on people and, literally like that boiler room mentality that you've seen or heard of. In our business, what does it foster? It fosters what we're on right now, one team training. We're not financially linked, yet I can't wait to train all of you guys and make the company better as a whole. Right before this, I did a team business call. I couldn't wait to share that knowledge and have a couple people on my call and make everybody better around us. And before that, we had individual coaching calls. I couldn't wait to get on the phone, find out what hurdles some of the people are having, and to walk them through those hurdles and make them better than they were before we got on that call. That's what makes this industry so beautiful, is you literally don't grow unless you're sharing all of your trade secrets. And there's another efficiency. The trade secrets on how to be successful in this industry don't really change. It's the basics. It's talk to more people. It's be a good listener. It's ask for the sale, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the basics don't change. There's no continuing education that you need to go to. I'm going to put it out there and say there's no fancy coach that you need to hire. There's none of that. The basics that make you successful will be shared, and they'll be shared with love from all the top leaders all the time because they want to grow. Therefore, they're going to help see you grow. So those are some of the reasons why I feel like this industry is so much more efficient and so much more inviting than what we would call typical big business. What kind of results do we get when we are an industry that has all of those advantages? Well, first of all, the size of our industry is massive. Last year, we ended up as an entire industry worldwide selling around $182 billion worth of product. Now, that's probably pretty hard for you to comprehend, so I want to do some comparisons. $182 billion worldwide, if that represents our industry, network marketing, what are some other big industries out there? Let's take music. Music has actually dwindled to a worldwide industry of $16 billion a year. So less than a tenth of the size of our industry. Pretty hard to believe, right? What about the movie industry? That one actually has been growing over the past few years. Well, the music industry right now is about an $80 billion industry worldwide. I mean, that's everything. That's every single downloaded movie, every single ticket sale, everything is about $80 billion industry worldwide. That is literally $100 billion smaller industry than what we are. So you can take a lot of posture in knowing that you are a part of a powerhouse industry, one that each year, while other industries have remained flat, has been growing year over year over year. One that when a recession hits, people actually need to turn to as another means of income or a job opportunity because everybody else is cutting jobs. So that alone shows you the powerhouse of an industry that we actually are. And there's a kind of a special circumstance, kind of a special timing that all of us are enjoying right now without even realizing it. And that is network marketing back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and at least even say early 2000s. It kind of got a bad name, right? Oh, one of those things. Why did it get a bad name? Well, because people had small networks. All they had was their friends and their families and maybe their coworkers. So they would hound them and hound them and hound them to buy their shakes or their products or join their business or whatever the hell it was. But they were hounding such a small group of people that they would wear them out and they became annoying. And they were the guy that, people didn't want to see at the parties anymore. But here's why it's different now. Now, thanks to social media, now thanks to things like networking groups, but especially social media, we now have, for the first time in history, combined the unlimited pay plans that network marketing provides, right? There's no cap on the money you can make at Isagenix, with an unlimited audience. Let that sink in a minute. Before, you had your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers. That's about it. Pretty hard to make a big living. Now you have a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend on Facebook. Let me give you a real example. So if I have a friend, I live in California for those of you that don't know. If I have a friend that sees one of my posts in Texas and I sign him up, and then he has a cousin in New Jersey and he signs her up, and she's got a friend in Wisconsin and she signs her up, I now have a business that I get paid on in Texas and in New Jersey and in Wisconsin, and I might never meet that person in Wisconsin. Yet every time their order goes through, I'm going to get a cut of that sale. That's powerful. That is why right now there are more 6- and 7-figure earners than there has ever been before in this industry by a landslide, by miles. We're literally in the hot spot, the golden era of network marketing right now, and some of you don't even realize it. So you know how they say, make hay while you can? This is the time. We're going to look back on this one day and say, we didn't realize how good we had it. We didn't realize how easy it was if you just put yourself out there. Because for the first time ever, they've combined unlimited compensation plans with a truly unlimited audience. Now, speaking of 6- and 7-figure earners, let's talk about the actual Isagenix opportunity. I think we're at 167, 168 millionaires. I should know that number, but I don't, but it's within those two, right? I want to frame that for you. I want to ask each and every one of you, how many millionaires do you truly know? So not counting Isagenix people that you see the names of, how many millionaires do each of you truly know? Do you know one of them? Do you know 3 or 4 of them? Do you run in a really affluent circle, so maybe you know 10 or 12 millionaires? Well, Isagenix has created 160-some millionaires in just 13 years selling the products that you're selling using the compensation plan that you are a part of. As a matter of fact, half of these millionaires were created in a crappier old school version of the compensation plan where they had nothing but cycling. I kid you not, they did not have PIBs, they did not have double PIBs, they did not have rank advancement bonuses, they did not have leadership pool bonuses. They didn't have any of that. They simply had cycling. Sell 900 points, ooh, I get a cycle. Yet they still created millionaires off of that alone. So what does that tell you? The fact that all walks of life, selling the same products that you are selling, using the same compensation plan that you are a part of, hit millionaire and beyond, that shows you that you can do that too. That you need to firmly believe that if that's your goal, because it's not everybody's goal, that that is not just a possibility for you, but a damn near certainty for you if you put in the time and the work and the consistency. When I say all walks of life, I mean all walks of life. If you just went to New Year kickoff, if you saw the portion where they brought up all of the 6- and 7-figure earners, everyone who's 100,000 to 999,000, and everyone who's over $1 million, and we're talking annually, not cumulatively now. When you saw that stage, there were hundreds and hundreds of people up there. I mean, it was a sight to see. The fact that you can have a room with just 6,000 business builders in it and have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on that stage that made $100,000 or more or $1 million or more that year out of that crowd, that's a huge percentage. So that shows you that anybody can do it because they were teachers, they were lawyers, they were laborers, they were landscapers, they were gym trainers, they were mechanics, they were medical device salespeople, they were bankers, they were sometimes and oftentimes, more often than not, people that never really held a big profession, but just got passionate about something they cared about. So that should show you right there, when you actually see that with your own eyes, that it's damn near a certainty that if you hold up your end of the bargain, this opportunity will provide for you that type of income. Now, let's use our common sense for a minute. If you don't work this the same way other people did, then you can't expect the same results. You have to put in the work to get there. but the certainty, the opportunity is there if you hold up your end of the bargain. So our industry absolutely rocks. Our industry is here to stay and has never been stronger. Our company, Isagenix itself, offers an opportunity that you can't deny when you take a look at the number of people just like you that are on stage making 6 or 7 figures. When you add it all up, I literally cannot think of a better opportunity to be a part of. Now, that is why I'm obsessed with this industry. What does that have with the next segment? Actually asking for the sale and closing people. Well, like I said in the beginning, it has everything to do with it. And here's what I mean. Your posture, imagine if you were as certain as I am right now, the way I'm talking with my hands, with the energy that I'm putting into it. Imagine if you were this certain every single time you sat in front of somebody and told them about this opportunity. When the time came for you to say, listen, trust me, get this in your body, see what it does for you, and if you freaking love it, I will coach you and show you the way to get there. If you said that with that kind of certainty, how many more signups would you get? It's all about posturing. You see, I just got off a call right before this with millionaire Lisa DeMeo and millionaire Kathy Savage. I'm sure most of you know who they are because they are powerhouse, amazing women. Well, I had asked each one of them individually, what is your style of closing? How do you close people? And while they had different semantics, both of them had the exact same key points. And that was their posture is strong, their certainty is high, and they ask you directly if you are ready to get started right now, or in Kathy's case, they give you a command that it is time to get started right now because I want you to have these things before this time next week. So what's the common thread? It's the posture and the certainty. And I'm actually going to show you how we, Lori and I, get there. I'm going to show you the set of tracks that we bring everybody down every single time in order to make sure that you can have that posture and you can have that certainty when you're asking for the sale. Now, a couple things before I get into it. When I go to an event, because I've been teaching this set of tracks for, a couple of years now, people will, it never fails. They always come up and they say, listen, I was on such and such call. I heard the way that you close. I went home. I practiced it. I role played it. And I made sure I was taking everybody down that same set of tracks every single time. And guess what? I hardly ever get a no anymore. Thank you so much. So I tell you that because I want you to A, realize it works, but more importantly, B, realize it's something you need to practice. It's something that you need to role play with your husband, your wife, or your friend, or your business builder, your upline, your downline, doesn't matter. Role play with a mirror if you have to. But the first time you try it, it's not going to come off smoothly. Nothing does, right? Kind of like, well, the first time that you're with a guy or a girl, it probably didn't go as smoothly as you wanted. This is the exact same thing. I see you laughing, Dustina. I knew I could at least get a laugh out of you. All right, so whenever somebody asks Lori or I, what is this going to cost? We answer in the exact same way. And we answer that question with a statement. We say, listen, Dustina, I guarantee that there is a system that will meet your goals. But more importantly than that, I want to find the one that meets your budget. Because when you fall in love with this, I want you to be able to keep using this. So for me to kind of narrow that down, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? And everybody says yes. And the reason why they say yes is because what did you just do? You completely disarmed them by saying, hey, I care as much about your budget as you do. So don't be afraid. Take that wall down. So let me repeat that because I see a lot of you taking notes. Someone says, Chris, sounds cool. What's it going to cost me? I say, well, there's a lot of systems that are going to hit your goals. I promise. But I also want to find the one that's going to hit your budget because once you fall in love with this, I want you to be able to keep using it. So for me to narrow that down, could I ask you a couple quick questions? And of course they say yes. So the first question I ask them is this. If you were going to use Isagenix for the next month or two to kind of find out what it does for you, which 2 meals a day would you be willing to replace with Isagenix meals? Let me repeat that. If you're going to use Isagenix for the next month or two to find out what this does for you, which 2 meals would you replace with Isagenix meals each day? Now, I'm pretty tricky with my semantics on purpose. What are some things that you guys heard in there? I said, if you were going to try Isagenix for the next month or two, that is literally setting the picture that this is not something that they're going to try for a week. This is not a 1 month fix. It's already setting up the scope that I need you to try this for a month or two to see what it does for you. Number two, I already brought into the picture that you're going to be replacing meals that you're already consuming and spending money on, and I'm going to let you choose them. So it's very flexible. So let's just pretend, for argument's sake, that they say breakfast and lunch. And you say, great, give me an idea of what you're eating for breakfast right now. And I'm going to make them describe it to me. Same thing with lunch. Give me an idea what you're eating for lunch that you're going to be replacing. And the reason why I make them describe it is that's where the visualization process comes in. It's very important for them to visualize replacing their meals with Isagenix meals. Because once somebody visualizes something, they are that much closer to already being 2 feet in because they have now seen themselves doing it. So once again, I've got a lot of purpose behind my semantics. So if they say for breakfast, it's nothing special I eat at home because I'm getting the kids off to school. It's usually cereal and fruit and coffee, and I grab one of these little bars on the way out the door. I say, great. And then same thing for lunch. They say, oh, I try and keep it inexpensive. I either bring it or I go out and I grab a salad with the girls every single day, but I keep it below $10. I say, great. Now, they already volunteered for lunch in that case that they keep it below $10, but I don't yet have my next question, and that is, what are you spending on those meals, breakfast and lunch, that you said you'll be replacing? And here's where sometimes people don't quite know. They'll say, well, I don't know because I made it at home, so I'm not sure what it cost me. So if they don't volunteer a number, then you need to give them a number. So if they said, oh, I make it at home, it can't be more than $3. Great, take their number. Never argue their number. Or if they say, gosh, I have no idea, give them a make sense number. So if this person's eating at home, cereal, coffee, and grabbing a little breakfast bar out the door, I can say, well, it sounds like maybe that's $3 or $4. Does that sound right? And they're say, yeah, that sounds about right. So now here's where I start pulling it together. What do I have? I've got the meals that they're going to be replacing, and I've got the amount that they're spending on each of those meals, $3 or $4 for breakfast, less than $10 for lunch. Here's where I pull them together. I say, well, Dustina, I'll tell you what, it sounds to me then like you're already spending $13 or $14 a day on the meals that you're going to be replacing. So if you're already spending $13 to $14 a day, would you be more comfortable investing $20 a day or $10 a day to start hitting your goals? And I just go quiet. What did I give them there? I gave them a choice of choosing between $20 a day or $10 a day to hit their goals. Now, here's why this is so important, is I've done the math for them. I've put it on the table that you're already spending X number of dollars a day. And if you're already spending X number of dollars a day, are you more comfortable spending 20 or 10 to start hitting your goals? And notice I always end it with to start hitting your goals. Once again, the semantics are very important. That's because $20 a day, for those of you that don't know, are all the President's Packs. And $10 a day are all the Getting Started Packs, kind of like the 30-day cleanse. So if somebody says that they've been trying to lose, 10 pounds before their class reunion, and they said, yeah, I'm already spending 14, I'll do 20 a day. I say, awesome. $20 a day is our best impression. That's a weight loss President's Pack. I'll tell you what, let's get you signed up right now because I want you to have these things in your hands before this time next week. And the day that you get them, I need you to call me so that I can tell you how to use each thing in your box and get you off to a fast start. How does that sound? Notice I told them, let's get you started. I mean, I launched right into it with momentum. I didn't say, oh, well, we've got this pack and that pack. And so, let me know, shoot me a text or something if you want to get started. That's awkward. You need to take their answers and you need to drive them with momentum into telling them what their next step is, telling them what they are going to do. I call it a loving nudge. Because if I had to be honest, most people need that loving nudge from you, or they would have gone out and done this on their own without your help. People find themselves in the position that they are in today, needing help because they haven't made the tough choice, because they haven't made the good choice. So it is up to you. As a matter of fact, it is your duty that if you care about people, you're willing to get awkward for a moment and give them that loving nudge towards saying yes to something that they just told you that they need. Now, let's go back and say they would have said only $10. Even though they're spending $14 a day, they're like, oh, I'm trying to cut back, $10 max. I say, great, $10 a day, that's our 30-day fat burning and cleansing system. Let's get you started right now, because I want you to have these things in your hands before this time next week. And the day you get them, I need you to call me so that I can tell you exactly how to use them and get you off to a fast start. How's that sound? Here's the other thing I wanted to point out about that. What am I doing by saying the day you get it, I want you to call me so I can tell you exactly what's in your box and how to use it and get you off to a fast start? Well, two things. One, I am saving all of the boring instructions for after they're a customer, not before they're a customer. All too often, you guys do a great job of showing one of the tools, talking about their goals, getting them excited, and then before they're a customer, you launch into this big regimen on how to use the cleanse and what a cleanse day looks like and what a shake day looks like. And here's all the snacks you can have on a cleanse day. And Christ, before you know it, you've actually intimidated them. You've made this seem complicated. And they went from totally pumped up to you took all the wind out of their sails and now it seems intimidating. So if you wonder why somebody seemed excited in the beginning and then just kind of disappeared, you're like, what happened? They seemed so excited. You were giving them too much information instead of just taking that momentum and bringing them right into the close. The other thing that's important to realize is that you are showing them that you are going to give them good customer service after the fact. You're not just going to sign them up and then leave them. You're literally saying, the day you get this, I need you to call me because I want to walk you through each and everything in your box and get you off to a fast start. That means a lot to me. How does that sound? And that shows them that you have a vested interest in their results, which is sometimes that little extra nail in the coffin that gets them to say, all right, I'll take this journey. Because a lot of people are not looking for products. A lot of people are looking for somebody that they can count on, are looking for somebody that they feel is going to be in their corner. I mean, listen, we live in a world now, unfortunately, where people can't really count on people at work. And sometimes people can't really count on people at home. And they just kind of feel like they're out there on their own struggling. So the box of products is the least of the benefits. The fact that you're saying, I want you to do this. I'm going to take care of you. I need you to call me the day that you get it. Sometimes that is what they are really signing up for. A coach, a running partner, a buddy, somebody to actually give a shit about them because that's what they're missing in life. So that pretty much sums up how we ask for the sale and how we discuss the cost every single time. And let me tell you, Lori, who does probably 5 enrollments to every one of my enrollments, we are running at easily a 90% yes rate. As a matter of fact, the 10% no's always come around later or they weren't quite that serious to begin with. And when I go to events and people say, I took this, I practiced it, and I put it into practice, and guess what? I haven't gotten any no's since. It's because they took that time to make sure they were good at taking people down that same set of tracks every single time. So will it take a little bit of role play on your part? Yeah, absolutely. But anything worth getting paid for, anything worth doing always does. Otherwise, what do I always say? Isagenix would just put up a site, drive traffic to it, and people would make their own choices, yes or no, and cut you out of the compensation. But that's what you're getting compensated for. You're getting compensated for being the loving nudge and for being the coach afterwards and for being the person that is going to help push that possible prospect over the edge. That is the value that you're bringing and why you're getting compensation in return. So with that, I want to open it up to questions because a lot of times people have questions around closing, what to say with this, what to say with that. So if you have a question, all of your lines are muted right now. Go ahead and hit unmute in your lower left-hand corner, and I'm happy to answer anything.
Hey, Chris. Judy here.
Judy, how you doing?
Hey, good. I really liked what Lisa DeMayo said on a call before this one about see people for their possibility, not their circumstance, because there's times where I totally get what you're saying about how to have the cost conversation, and money spent is money spent, whether you spend it $10 a day or you spend it all at once. But there's people who will say, well, I just don't have $300 to spend all at one time. So I get what Lisa was saying, but when people run into that, like, what's your best response?
Okay, I love this. I always say it's better to get somebody started than to not get them started at all. So there's two things that you can do when somebody says, yes, that's me, $10 a day, can't wait. Oh, but I literally don't have $300 right now in one lump sum. Thing number one is say, no problem. A lot of you always want to make them feel comfortable. So no problem. A lot of my best customers had the exact same problem at first. What I found was that if I waited till their payday, they were able to do it. If you want me to wait till your payday, I'll take your information now. You tell me exactly what day that is. And then I promise to make sure I'll put your order in on time on your payday. Now, look at what you're doing in that situation. They're already pumped up. They're already hot. They're already excited. You don't want to have to get them all, warmed up again a week later when they get paid. Sometimes that's tough to do. You want to strike while the iron's hot. So that is why you're actually literally not going to make them feel bad about it or anything. You're just going to say, oh, no problem. So many of my customers had the exact same problem. What I found was easiest was I took their information now, I held it until payday, and I kept my end of the bargain and put their information through on payday so that they were able to get started. Now, here's what's cool. When you answer with that, one of two things happen. They say, great, awesome, and I'm glad you're willing to do that, because they really are a yes. Or sometimes they're like, oh, well, I don't know. Yeah. And that's when they're not really a yes. That's when there's something else other than the money that's holding them back. And then you can take and investigate what's going on with that. So that's why I love that response. The other response is this. If you do that and, they say there's never a time I'm going to be able to put $300 together, then remember, it's always better to walk away with them as a customer than nothing at all. So Lori and I, in fact, I'll give you some numbers. We've signed up 2 people a week on average for the last 4 years. We have signed up over 400 people over 4 years, right? And out of that 400 and some people, I can guarantee you at least a quarter of them have started on just 2 shakes a day and nothing else. Now, did we present, hey, just buy 2 shakes a day? No, we did $20 or $10, let them choose. But if they were only able to scratch up $160 for their sign up to get 2 shakes a day, then that was better than nothing, because the 2 shakes will make an incredible impression on them. They'll feel better. They'll look better. And then guess what? Their order basket goes up over time because they become such a believer in what those 2 shakes a day did that they can't imagine what the Ionics might do and what the cleanse might do and what the bars might do. And they add all those things to their order basket later. So that's why it's important to walk away with a customer, even if you have to downsell, as opposed to walking away with nothing. All right, Judy, good question. Who has the next one?
I just want to comment on something. It's Michelle Clemente.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi. I was that 2 shake a day person. So I just wanted to say that. I signed up and downgraded my order, and I eventually bought more, and I've been into it for over a year. So
totally.
I agree with that.
I love that. Thank you for that, because that makes it realistic, right? Sometimes people are like, oh, that sounds good in theory, but does it really work? Totally works. I love that you were brave enough to come on and be that example.
I have a question.
Yeah, who's that?
My name's Lindsay. How do you approach people that you've already tried to talk to and they've already blown you off, kind of?
Ooh, really good question. Now, before I answer, give me a definition of blown you off.
Well, for me, I have several people that I've talked to, and immediately what they say is that the price of the packages are unrealistic.
The prices of the packages?
Right.
Okay. So did you present the prices of the packages as a whole number, or did you take them through the $10 a day, $20 a day scenario that we just went through?
I didn't really know about the $10 a day way. The way I was signed up was knowing just the full price.
That's so good. I'm glad you answered that way, because you have a chance to go back to them and rekindle that conversation. And now you're not going to go right into the cost, but you are going to go back and say something along the lines of, hey, you know what? I just wanted to circle around. I remember last time you showed some interest in Isagenix, but I know it was kind of cost prohibitive. We've got some new packs. We've got some new products. And hey, if you still have goals, I'd still love to at least help you towards those goals. What do you say we take a look at some of the new packages that are available and see if any of them fit you now? And now that's when you'll steer them, you'll reinvest them in their goals and get kind of warmed up again. And that's when you'll steer them down that set of tracks of $20 a day or $10 a day. And you're going to find that they're going to commit to a pack that they just said was unrealistic maybe 2 months ago when you presented it to them last time. So I'd rekindle that relationship using the fact that we've got new packs and new products, and you'd love to see if any of them fit their goals this time around.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Hi, Chris. This is Michelle Rubin.
Hey, Michelle.
I have a question. I had someone say to me the other day, they had seen me on Facebook and they were like, oh, I see you, you're into fitness and you're doing all this stuff. And he said, I'm interested, but I don't want to have to start taking something that I'm going to have to stay on for the rest of my life. How do you usually, respond to something like that?
Was this somebody who works out?
He said he and his wife were starting to eat better, and he works out a little bit.
My first response was to compare it to working out. If you worked out for a month, you'd see some great results. And if you quit working out at that point, of course, your body's going to go back towards where you started. But if it's somebody who would not draw a parallel with working out, then I think it's okay to take baby steps with them. You always want to be 100% honest. So you don't want to say something like, oh, you don't have to stay on for life. But I think what I would say in your case is I'd say something along the lines of, hey, that's totally understandable. A lot of people are intimidated by committing to, a lifelong product or relationship or something like that. What if we just saw if you even liked it for a month? And if you liked it for a month, we just took it one more month at a time. And if you liked it for 2 months, maybe we took it a third month at a time. But what if we just saw if it did anything for you for 1 month, and if it didn't, no problem, no strings attached. And taking that intimidation factor out of having to stick to something will go a long, long way.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good response. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. There's nothing wrong with meeting people where they're at. A lot of people are scared of the commitment.
Yeah, I think people are just afraid to, again, have to feel like they're going to start paying for something and they're going to lose weight, and they know that's the products that are helping them to lose the weight, and they're afraid, you hear a lot of times, oh, I started this program and once I went off it and I started eating differently, I gained all the weight back. So I've gotten that a few times from people.
Your best case scenario is going to hope that if they try it for a month, they realize it's so easy and unintimidating that it would be something they'd be happy to stick with.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
You bet. Good questions, guys. Who's next?
Chris. Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Yes. Hey, Chris.
Yep.
Do you approach the men any different than you do the women? For example, I was on the hike trail yesterday, and this young lady, I started getting a conversation with her, and all of a sudden I seen her bend down to tie a shoe that wasn't untied. So I just kept on trucking. But I was wondering if you approach the men, any different than you do the women, as far as opening lines or.
That's actually a really good question. It'd be easy to insert joke here, but quite honestly, it's awkward sometimes. A man approaching a woman about this and trying to strike up a conversation versus just approaching another guy that'd be easy to talk about working out with. And I do approach them differently. First of all, both sets of people, man or woman, I really aim to develop a warm relationship with before I try to sell them anything. I really believe that you got to put that extra step in there, and that people care a lot more about what you have to offer once they know that you actually care about them and that you've got that warm relationship built. So that's the first part of the response. The second part of the response is when it comes to a woman, and I have no idea if you're married or not, but I use my wife as an excuse. So if I'm talking about this woman prospects fitness goals and all that stuff, I'll always go back to my wife to kind of break down that barrier so she doesn't think that I'm hitting on her or something like that. I'll say, oh, you know what, my wife, Lori, she's normally at this gym, but she's not here right now. Maybe you've seen her before. She got us involved in blah, blah, blah. She's found this is easier. She's had a lot of success with this, or she has a lot of clients that have this. So I try to relate it to another woman's success And in this case, I break down the barrier by using my wife instead of trying to be the expert myself.
All right. Thank you.
Did that answer your question okay?
Yeah, it did. I mean, we're always looking for prospects. And in this day and age, there's a ton of prospects out there and most of them in my life, my wife works out of state right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm at the grocery store myself. I see a lot of women that could use an approach. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. How to approach them.
Yeah. So I can give you one more tip. Don't approach them with the goal of selling them Isagenix. Approach them with the goal of developing just a friendly, warm relationship based on a common subject. And if that lends itself to the opportunity to take it further for Isagenix, then go for it. But don't be so attached to it that you put that pressure on yourself. Just, David Norrie taught me, just take interest in people and the rest will reveal itself. And that's how I'd answer that. Just take interest in people, and some will be like a great prospect and some won't be.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Hey, Chris, I have a question for you.
Yeah, who's this?
This is Eric from New York. How you doing?
Good, Eric.
My question for you is, how do you approach someone that already is an existing network marketer, internet marketer, or has maybe a couple years experience in pre-existing network marketing company, as opposed to someone who has never seen network marketing before? What would your approach be on that?
I heard you all the way up to the part existing network marketer or internet marketer, and then it kind of cut out right there.
Yeah, my question was, what would your approach be with someone that already has an existing background with network marketing using Isagenix versus someone that has never been in network marketing before?
Oh, I love that. So when I come across other network marketers, I never want to get into that pissing match of my company's better than yours. So instead, I kind of use the idea of, hey, you know what? If you've been in this for a couple of years, you probably know a lot of things that I don't know. What if we got together and shared some common best practices or shared some ideas that our companies are teaching us so that both of us can kind of get better at our respective companies? So I make it a partnership because we have the industry in common, instead of making it about, hey, I want to compare my company to yours. And people say yes to that all the time. And then once you sit down with them, you kind of steer it. At some point in the conversation, they're going to say, well, what tips have you gotten? And you're going to steer it towards, I've found that the people who are best at presenting the compensation plan are the people that have the most success in recruiting business builders. I got an idea. What if you presented your compensation plan to me? I'll give you some feedback, and then I'll present mine to you, and you can give me feedback. What I'm really doing is setting them up for that pissing match without them realizing that's what we're doing. They honestly think that, we're going to constructively give each other advice. And, if it ends with all you did was give each other advice, fantastic. You probably learned something from the conversation from another person in the industry. But more often than not, by the time they hear our compensation plan, which, by the way, make sure you're good at presenting it, by the time they hear our compensation plan, they're going to be blown away and they're going to start taking interest in our company. Good question.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Rick. I'm outside of Portland. I have a lot of relationships that are online, Facebook, or I message them on texting or Instagram or whatever. There are people that are reluctant to move that conversation to a phone call. I try. Some do. Sometimes it's very hard. Do you have any strategies to move for people who are reluctant to move it from online to offline, or is there any way to seal the deal, so to speak, online?
Yeah, totally. I love this question, and you might be surprised at the answer. The answer is that I view taking people from online to offline as soon as possible, not only as a best practice, but more importantly, as a filter. See, people are literally filtering themselves out as, I'm totally serious about making a change in life and I'll do anything for it, versus those who are just kind of tire kickers and are not serious about spending $300, $400, $500, $600 anyways. So when somebody won't go from online to offline, that's actually a good thing. They're saving you from that months-long email battle back and forth. They're saving you from all the awkwardness. They're literally identifying themselves as a tire kicker that was not super serious to begin with versus somebody who is so serious that, I mean, let's be honest. If somebody is willing to spend $300 or $400 to change their lifestyle, they're definitely going to say yes to a phone call. I mean, that's a pretty serious investment. So they're just filtering themselves out for you. So kind of embrace it. It's not your job to get them to say yes or no. It's your job to kind of keep trolling for all the yeses. Good job on all those reach outs.
Hey, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, who's this?
This is Jim Hart out in Boston. How you doing?
Good, Jim.
All right, I'm on the phone, so I'm not on the Zoom.
No
but
problem.
I had a quick question. Like, I was just talking to a client, and he really wants to go with it, and finds out that after we walk him through and get him on the package, the credit card, he has a problem with the credit card because he had an issue with fraud in the past, and he doesn't do this and that, and so I just kind of was wondering what you had as far as any kind of experience like that, and what your solutions might be to handle a situation like that.
So, Jim, your question is, he's all about signing up, but he doesn't want to give you his credit card information or his other information because he's worried about fraud, right?
That's correct, yep.
Perfect. So what I found in that situation, again, empathize with them. So say, oh, you know what? I don't blame you. We do live in kind of a crazy time. What if I connected you to our corporate headquarters and you dealt directly with them? I'll even do the warm transfer for you.
Okay. I said that, and then what he was saying is that he feels that he's no problem with the company, but worried about that individual that might get his information and I guess whatever. So I offered maybe, is it possible to have him have a loadable, Visa card, and then he uses a loadable Visa card and loads it up every month?
I mean, if he wants to go through that, that works for sure. But you might just have a weirdo on your hands too.
Yeah. I hope not, but you never know. So, but I just was wondering if you had come across any of those stuff.
Yeah, no, I try and transfer.
Appreciate all that.
Not to let him go.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah,
Great questions, guys. Thank you.
Awesome questions, guys. We ready to move on? It is that time.
It's flew by.
Yeah. So before you just kind of say your final goodbye, Chris, I just want to thank everybody, first of all, for, again, investing this time and for adding your energy and for providing great questions. Those were awesome. And I just want to share one thing, every era in human history has had a great commodity, right? Whether it was wood or gathering, whether it's oil or steel. Technology has obviously been a huge industry the last, 15 years. I truly believe, and I want you to really listen to this, because I truly believe that the commodity of our future is wisdom. It truly is wisdom. People are sick to death of being lied to. They're sick of solutions that don't work. They're sick of political lies and manipulation, and they just want wisdom. They want people to stand in front of them and share from their own experiences how something has helped them and worked for them from their own experience, not from something they learned through school or on the internet, right? And that is why network marketing is so powerful, especially Isagenix, because we're all having our own experiences and we're sharing that wisdom. We each have a book within us, and it's just a matter of, are you going to start talking? Are you going to share that story? Are you going to share your own wisdom? Right? And if you do that, this is going to be really, really, really easy. And the tips that Chris gave us tonight are just phenomenal. And just keep that in mind as you use his tips, that you are the best thing you have to offer them. Your experience is the best thing you have to offer them. And it's actually exactly what they want. All right, Chris. Want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yes. Well, I'll leave you all with this. When it comes to closing, the most certain person in the room will always win. And it's up to you to do whatever it takes to be that most certain person. Whether it's self-development to believe in yourself, that you are a worthwhile coach, whether it is being a product of the product so that you feel really great about what the products are doing for you, whether it is studying the business and pulling up all the stats, just by Googling them like I did in order to build an inventory of stats that made you realize this really is a great thing to be a part of. Whatever it takes for you to be that 10 out of 10, that's your assignment. That's your homework. Because I'm telling you, once you are there, once you're a 10 out of 10, nobody can say no to you. Nobody can tell you that you're part of something crazy. Nobody can cast any doubt into you. And people will say yes to you just because of the energy you're giving off alone. Not because of products, not because of $10 a day, not because of anything, other than they want to be a part of whatever in the world made you the way that you are right now. So do that. Put in that elbow grease, become that 10 out of 10, and everything else falls into place, I promise you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Please get into massive action, guys. This is the 90-day game plan. We're all in action. Use these tips and what David taught us last week. And next week is going to blow your mind. So be ready for that. I'm going to go ahead and put the screen up for everybody to see. Say your goodbyes. Come on, and see those smiley faces.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. It was great.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.